The rain had been falling since noon, and by 4 o'clock the puddles on Decatur Street had swallowed the curbs entirely. Clifford Boone did not notice the rain. He noticed the sound of it, the way it struck the tin awning above the pharmacies differently than it struck the asphalt, and how the cars passing on his left pushed a wall of wet air that he had learned, over the past 2 years, to read like a map. He counted steps the way other men counted money. 17 from the corner. Pause at the change in texture underfoot. Smooth tile becoming rough concrete. 3 more steps. Stop. He was 61 years old. For 59 of those years he had been able to see. He stood at the edge of the crosswalk on Decatur and 5th and waited for the signal he could hear but no longer needed to look at. The cane swept left, swept right. The light changed. He stepped off the curb. The voice came from somewhere below his shoulder. "Mister, don't." He stopped. The truck did not. It ran the red on 5th going north, a delivery truck with bad brakes and a driver on his phone, and it passed through the space where Clifford's body would have been in another 2 seconds. The wind of it pulled at his coat. He felt it on his face, like something alive. For a moment he stood exactly where he was. Then the voice said, "Okay now. It's clear." He crossed. On the other side he stopped and turned toward where the voice had come from. He was looking for a face and could not find one in the way he used to look, but he turned his head in the direction of the sound, which was now slightly below and to his right. And he said, "Who's there?" "Nothing." "I know you're still there," he said. "I can hear you breathing." A pause. Then, "I wasn't going to let you get hit. I understand that," Clifford said. "I'm grateful." "What's your name?" Another pause, longer this time. "Rue," the voice said. He put her at 8, maybe 9. Small for whatever age she was, the kind of voice that had learned early not to take up too much space. "Rue," he said. "That's an unusual name. My mama liked unusual things." He noticed the past tense. He did not remark on it. "Well," he said. "Thank you, Rue. You may have saved my life." "The truck would have stopped," she said, without conviction. "No," Clifford said. "It wouldn't have." Sneakers on wet concrete. The squeak of it told him the soles were thin, nearly gone. He heard her breathing even out. He heard, just at the edge of hearing, the sound of her stomach. "When did you last eat?" he said. She didn't answer. "I'm going to the diner on the next block," he said. "Maribel's." "You know it?" "I know it. I'd like to buy you dinner, as a thank you. You're welcome to say no." He waited. He had learned, since losing his sight, that waiting was the only real currency he had left. He could not read faces. He could not telegraph reassurance with his eyes. He could only wait and let the other person decide. "I'm not dressed right," Rue said. "Neither am I," said Clifford. "I've been wearing this coat for 6 hours, and it smells like the rain." Another pause, and then the small sound of footsteps falling into pace beside him. Maribel's was warm and loud with the early dinner crowd, and the hostess. A woman named Greta, who knew Clifford by his Thursday standing reservation, seated them in the booth by the window without comment, though he felt her hesitation, the half-second of recalibration when she registered the child beside him. A girl in a gray hoodie 2 sizes too large, the drawstring missing, the front pocket fraying at the seam, hair pulled back with what felt from the sound when she sat down like a rubber band. "Whatever she wants," Clifford said to Greta, "and coffee for me." He heard the menu placed in front of Rue. He heard nothing else. "Can you read it?" he said. Not unkindly. "Yes," Rue said, but she said it too quickly. "The meatloaf is good," he said. "So is the chicken pot pie." "Greta, what's the soup tonight?" "Tomato bisque," Greta said. "The soup is good too," he said. Rue ordered the meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, a Coke, and after a pause that suggested she was unsure whether she was allowed, a slice of pecan pie. "Good choice," Clifford said. On all counts, he heard her eat. Not the way a child eats when someone is watching, not performed slowness or practiced table manners, but the way a person eats when they haven't eaten in a while, and their body has taken over the decision-making entirely. He did not say anything about it. He drank his coffee. He asked her small questions she could answer or not answer as she chose. Where did she go to school? She didn't, right now. Did she have family in the city? She used to. Did she like the meatloaf? It was really good. At some point the pie arrived and she ate it with the careful attention of someone who understood that certain things might not come again. "Rue," he said when he heard the fork set down. "Where are you sleeping tonight?" "I'm not asking to pry," he said. "I'm asking because I'd like to help, if you'll let me. You don't know me." "No," he said. "I don't. But you stepped off a curb into traffic to stop a stranger from getting killed. That tells me something about who you are. It tells you I'm stupid," she said. "It tells me," Clifford said carefully, "that you think other people's lives are worth something. That's rarer than you'd think." The restaurant noise moved around them, a baby somewhere across the room. The espresso machine. Rain still going outside the window. "There's a shelter on Grove," Rue said finally. "I can usually get a mat if I'm there by 6. It was 5:47. Clifford Boone sat for a moment with his coffee cup. Then he said, I have a house 12 blocks from here. It has 4 bedrooms, all empty. A housekeeper named Dorothy who comes in 3 days a week and who I believe would be very pleased to have someone to fuss over. You can have the room at the end of the hall and lock the door from the inside and I will not bother you. You can leave whenever you want. I'm not making an offer I expect you to accept. I'm making it because it's what's available. He heard her breathing change. Why? She said. Because you're 9 years old and you're rationing pecan pie, he said, and I have 4 empty rooms. She did not accept that night. She thanked him, politely and a little stiffly, and she left the diner at 5:58 and he sat alone for a while and finished his coffee. He did not know whether he would see her again. He paid the check, and Greta called him a cab, and he rode home through the rain to his house on Pembroke Street, which had belonged to his wife Ellen before it had belonged to them both, and which had been very quiet since Ellen had died 18 months ago of a thing that moved faster than either of them had expected. He did not sleep well. He was used to not sleeping well. In the morning, Dorothy came and made coffee and did not ask why he looked tired, because Dorothy understood after 3 years of working for him that some questions were not useful. She cleaned the front rooms and changed the towels and left soup on the stove for lunch, and when she was leaving, she paused at the door and said, Mr. Boone, there's a child sitting on the front steps. Clifford set down his coffee cup. How long has she been there? He said. I don't know. She was there when I arrived. Does she look? She looks cold, Dorothy said, and like she's working very hard to look like she isn't. Clifford stood. He found the door frame, found the hallway, found the front door. He opened it. The cold came in before anything else. Then the smell of wet concrete and something smaller underneath it, something that made him think of the first time he and Ellen had taken in a stray cat, the animal's particular quality of hunger that was not just physical. Rue, he said. I thought about it, she said, from the bottom step 2 steps below him. I can make more coffee, he said, or Dorothy can. She's better at it. He heard Rue stand. He heard the strap of a backpack settle onto her shoulders. He heard her take 1 step up, then another, then stop. I can leave whenever I want, she said. Whenever you want, he said. And the door locks from the inside. I'll show you the lock myself, he said. Or Dorothy will. She's better at most things. He heard something that might have been the beginning of a laugh, shut down before it got going. Okay, Rue said. He stepped back. She came inside. The room at the end of the hall was the one that had been Ellen's reading room. And it was the only room in the house that still felt inhabited in some specific way Clifford couldn't name, but could feel. A warmth in the air that had nothing to do with the radiator. Dorothy had put clean sheets on the daybed and left a lamp on and set a glass of water on the nightstand without being asked. Rue stood in the doorway for a moment before going in. Clifford stood in the hall. There are towels in the bathroom across the hall, he said. Dorothy left some things on the dresser. Toothbrush, soap. She may have overestimated what was necessary. It's a lot, Rue said, but not like she was complaining. She gets enthusiastic, he said. A pause. Mr. Boone, Rue said. Clifford, he said. Clifford. She tried it once. Then. She liked this room. Whoever was here before. He was quiet for a moment. My wife, he said. Yes, she did. He did not ask how she knew. He had stopped wondering how children knew things. I'll let you get settled, he said. Lunch is on the stove when you're ready. Just turn the burner to medium. He was already turning back toward the stairs when she said quietly, I won't break anything. He stopped. He thought about the right answer. I know, he said, and even if you did, Rue, things can be replaced. He went downstairs. He sat at the kitchen table. He listened to the small sounds from the end of the hall, the backpack being set down, the creak of the daybed, the click of the bathroom door, and for the first time in 18 months the house did not feel like a room he had wandered into by mistake. He was a corporate attorney, semi-retired technically, though the firm still sent him consulting work because 30 years of case law did not vanish with eyesight, and Clifford had spent the past 2 years learning that most of what he did had never required his eyes anyway. He had a transcription service. He had software that read documents aloud. He had a junior partner named Aiden, who drove him to depositions, and who had, without being asked, stopped using visual metaphors in their working conversations. His blindness had come from a condition that had its own long name and a shorter one the doctors used when they thought he wasn't paying close attention. It had given him 14 months of warning before it took everything, 14 months to make what the ophthalmologist called adjustments. He had thought, at the time, that 14 months was a cruel kind of gift. He understood now that some people got no months at all. Ellen had helped him through the adjustment. Ellen, who had been an interior designer for 30 years, and who had rearranged the entire house not once but 3 times during those 14 months, moving furniture incrementally so that his body could learn the space before his eyes left it entirely. She had measured the distances between things and told him the numbers as if she were reading him a bedtime story. 14 steps from the bedroom to the top of the stairs, 3 steps down to the landing, 12 to the front door. He could still hear her voice saying the numbers. Then she was gone, and the numbers stayed. Rue came downstairs for lunch. He heard her on the stairs, hesitant, one hand on the wall, and then she was in the kitchen, and he heard the burner click and the pop of it catching and the sound of a spoon in a pot. "You cooked," she said. "Dorothy cooked," he said. "I just didn't eat yet." She brought 2 bowls to the table. He did not mention this. He found his bowl by feel and ate. "You were a lawyer," she said. "Am," he said. "Semi-retired. How did you know?" "There are books everywhere, in boxes and on shelves. The ones in boxes have law on the spines." He had not known the boxes were still visible. He had thought Dorothy had moved them to the study. "My wife kept suggesting I donate them," he said. "I kept not doing it." Rue was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Did she die or did she leave?" He looked up, which was still a habit that meant nothing. "Die?" he said. "I'm sorry," she said, with the directness that children sometimes have about loss, which was better than the way adults handled it, which was mostly by not handling it. "What about your mother?" he said. "Same," she said. He nodded once. They ate the rest of the soup without talking. Not the silence of 2 people who had run out of things to say, but the other kind. The kind that settles when 2 people have established, without negotiating it, that the usual rules do not apply. She stayed. Not because he asked her to. He did not ask her to. Not because she had nowhere else to go. She might have. She stayed because the room at the end of the hall felt like a room someone had already made for her, and because Dorothy was in fact enthusiastic about having someone to fuss over, and because Clifford Boone was the first person in a long time who had asked her a question and then waited for an actual answer. Difficulties. There were always difficulties. On the 4th day, a woman from the city came to the house. A social worker. Her name was Mrs. Okafor. With a clipboard and a practiced calm that did not fully conceal her skepticism. She had received a call, she would not say from whom. She sat in the front room and asked Clifford questions that were polite in their wording and pointed in their intention, and Clifford answered them plainly, and Rue sat beside him with her backpack in her lap. She still slept with the backpack, still carried it everywhere, like an animal keeping its escape route clear, and said almost nothing until Mrs. Okafor asked her directly how she was being treated. "Fine," Rue said. "Just fine," Mrs. Okafor said. Rue thought about it with the seriousness she brought to everything. "He didn't make me talk until I was ready," she said. "That's not nothing." Mrs. Okafor wrote something on her clipboard. She came back the following week and the week after that. Eventually, the visits became less frequent, and then, after 3 months, stopped. Clifford filed the paperwork. It took a while. Nothing involving the city took less than a while. But it moved. In the meantime, Rue learned the house the way he had learned it. By feel and by sound and by repetition, until the number of step between things became automatic. She did this, he realized later, not because she needed to, but because she had understood without being told that it mattered to him, that the interior map of the house was something they shared. She started school in October, a public school 6 blocks away, which she walked to and from alone, though on rainy days Dorothy would drive her if she was there. And on the days Dorothy wasn't there, Clifford would stand at the front doors and listen to her footsteps go down the block and around the corner and disappear. She was not, it turned out, behind. She was not behind at all. She was, in the assessment of her third-week teacher, a child who had been educating herself in an unstructured way for some time and who had significant gaps in certain areas and unexpected depths in others. She had read by her own account and the evidence of her vocabulary, somewhere in the range of 60 books. "Where did you get them?" Clifford asked. "Library," she said, "and donations. There's a box outside the church on Millard. People put books in it." "What kind of books?" She considered. The sad kind and the adventure kind, and one time someone left a book about tax law. He laughed. It surprised him. He had not laughed at anything since some time before Ellen died, and the sound of it in his own kitchen felt like a window opening. Rue looked at him. He couldn't see her looking, but he could feel it. "You should do that more," she said. "Laugh?" "Yes." He thought about it. "I'll work on it," he said. The backpack. He did not ask about the backpack for 2 months. He noticed it, heard it, rather, every day, the weight of it on the stairs. The particular sound it made when she set it down carefully, which was different from how children usually set things down. The way she adjusted it before leaving for school each morning, like someone checking that something fragile was still in one piece. On a Tuesday in November, she left for school and forgot it. He found it by the coat rack. Felt it, actually. Walked into it and then stood with his cane in one hand and the strap of the backpack in the other, and he did not open it. He set it by the door. When she came home at 3:15, the first thing she said was not hello. The first thing she said was, "Did you look in it?" "No," he said. He heard her exhale. "I forgot it," she said. "I know, I left it by the door." A pause. Then her footsteps crossing to the door, the sound of the zipper she checked. He heard her go through it quickly, methodically, the way someone checks a list they've memorized. "It's all here," she said, partly to him, partly to herself. "What's in it?" he said, "and then you don't have to tell me." She was quiet for a moment. "A sweater," she said, "a picture, a library book, some money, not a lot, a pocket knife my mama gave me, and a rock." "What kind of rock?" "The flat kind, from a lake. My mama and I went to a lake once, and she let me pick any rock I wanted, and I picked that one because one side is smooth and one side has a ridge on it. She said it was like that because the water worked on it for a long time." Clifford Boone sat down on the bench by the coat rack. "She sounds like she was a wise woman," he said. "She was," Rue said. "She was also really bad at cooking. She used to burn the grilled cheese every time, but she'd always say, 'The crispy parts have more flavor.'" He smiled. He felt it happen before he decided to do it. "She wasn't wrong," he said. "She was a little bit wrong," Rue said. But her voice had the texture of something she had carried a long time and worn soft by carrying. There is a particular kind of change that does not feel like change when it is happening. It feels like Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then a morning in December when the light comes through the woods in a way you can feel on your face even when you cannot see it. And the house smells like coffee and burned toast. Because Rue had decided to make breakfast and was, she admitted, her mother's daughter in the kitchen, and someone is arguing with the radio about something, and you realize, standing at the top of the stairs, that the house is not quiet anymore. That the numbers are still there. 17 steps from the corner, 12 to the front door, but they are no longer the only thing filling the space between them. Clifford stood at the top of the stairs on a Thursday morning in December and listened to Rue arguing with the radio about the weather forecast with a specificity and confidence that suggested she had strong opinions about meteorology. And he thought about Ellen, which he did every day, and he thought about the truck on Decatur Street, which he did less often now but still, and he thought about what it meant that a child who slept with a backpack by the bed and checked its contents twice a day had, sometime in the last 6 weeks, started leaving it by the coat rack at night. He came downstairs. The toast was, as expected, burned. "The crispy parts," Rue said before he could say anything. "Have more flavor," he said. "I know, I've been told." He sat down. She put a plate in front of him. He found it by feel and ate, and it was, even burned, the best thing he had eaten in a long time, and he didn't say that out loud because some things are understood without being said, and Rue was a child who had spent years understanding exactly those things. "Do you have the math test today?" he said. "Long division," she said with the tone of someone facing a minor injustice. We practiced a lot," she said. "That doesn't mean I like it." "No," he agreed. "It doesn't." He heard her eat. He heard her drink her orange juice. He heard the small mechanical sound of her adjusting the radio to a different station, something with guitars. Outside, the city was doing what the city did. Trucks and voices, and the particular rhythm of a cold Thursday morning in December. The rain from the night before had frozen on the sidewalks, and Clifford could hear it in the careful way people walked past the front window, the slight hesitation in everyone's step. "Be careful," Rue had said on a wet afternoon in October with a truck bearing down on Decatur Street. He had been thinking lately about that moment. Not with the fear he'd felt in the immediate aftermath. That wall of wind, the air displaced by the tonnage of the thing that had almost ended him. But with something else. Something that felt like the beginning of understanding. He had not, before that afternoon, been careful. He had been managing, which was different. Managing was a kind of controlled not looking, a way of moving through days without examining them too closely. Because examining them too closely meant noticing how much space the absence of Ellen had opened up, how many hours in a day had previously been organized around another person, and were now organized around nothing. He had been moving through the city on autopilot, and a truck had nearly killed him, and a child had stopped it, and then stood in the rain to make sure he crossed safely before disappearing into whatever day she'd been having before he walked into it. He thought about what that required of a person, what it required of a 9-year-old. He thought about the rock with the smooth side and the ridge. The water worked on it for a long time. He finished his toast. "Good luck on the test," he said. "I won't need luck," Rue said, with the particular confidence of someone who absolutely needed luck. "I just need you to stop making me nervous by saying good luck." "Understood," he said. "You will perform adequately and the results will be whatever they are, and long division is not a reflection of a person's character." A pause. "That's better," she said. He heard her push back her chair. He heard the backpack, the coat rack, not the bedroom. She had stopped taking it to her room, lifted from its hook. He heard the sound of the zipper, the quick check, the settle of the straps. She was almost at the front door when she said, "Clifford." "Yes, the room. At the end of the hall. A beat. I like it there." He did not say anything right away. He thought about Ellen measuring distances and reading numbers like a bedtime story. He thought about how a house holds the shape of the people who have lived in it, how certain rooms stay warm in ways that have nothing to do with heat. "I know," he said finally. "I think she would have liked you in it." The door opened. The cold came in briefly. The door closed. He sat alone in the kitchen with the radio and the smell of burned toast and the particular silence of a house that has someone in it, even when that someone has just left, because the difference between a house that is empty and a house where someone will return is not a small difference. Not to Clifford Boone, not anymore. He found his coffee cup by feel. He drank it slowly, in no hurry at all, listening to the city go careful on the ice outside, and waiting, without urgency, without the old low dread, for 3:15, and the sound of footsteps coming up the front walk and the door opening again.